Hey guys, welcome to another video of me making soap. Right here, I'm just checking the temperatures of my oils and my lye solution. I tried to have them roughly within 10 degrees of each other. I personally have found that that works best. It just tends to seize up on me, and I have more issues when there is a great difference in temperature. I added the fragrance oil, and this time I blended a mix of agave nectar and lime blossom and black sea. Both of those blends are from the Midwest Fragrance Company, and let me tell you, it is a fantastic blend. If you are a maker and looking for something to blend, those two I highly recommend. This is going to be more of a neon soap. I do have several neons that I've used from Mad Micas. There's this one, and I believe it's called Tennis Ball Breaker. The next one is Radioactive. I do mix up my neons in hot water rather than a lightweight oil. I disperse them in hot water because they tend to clump, and I just don't want clumpy colorants. So I started doing the hot water just a little bit, just enough to disperse it so it's not clumpy, and that has worked. It absolutely has revolutionized my use of neons. I just thought they were going to be clumpy always. Like, that was just one of the things. Okay, here's that radioactive one. It's not actually radioactive, that's the name of it. But you can see I've mixed it with water, and it kind of goes from clumps to a nice smooth mixture. So I'm adding the same amount of each color to the batch, and that helps my brain as a maker because I'm constantly doing math, and I'm not a big math person, but making soap has really expanded my horizons as far as math is concerned. I used to think that I couldn't do it because I'm not good at math, but I really found the more I leaned into that portion of it, the more sharp my mind got, and it was good. And okay, so this color is Blue Vibrance. That one is from Nurture Soap. So as far as the colorants go, I tend to do my micas 1 teaspoon per pound of oil. And so in this portion, I didn't have 16 ounces, I did 9 ounces. So instead of 1 teaspoon, I did a half a teaspoon per section per color because each of them had 9 ounces. I could have put a little bit more, but I don't want my colors to run in my soap. So if I'm not sure, or it's really close, like 9 is close to 8, which is half a teaspoon, I usually end up erring on the side of a little less as opposed to a little more. I just know that when I started soap making, I thought I could just add as much colorant as I wanted to, and I really had some grody soaps that left a huge mess wherever they were used, and I never want that to happen again. So this color is purple, neon purple, and this is also from Nurture Soap. So the inspiration for this soap was actually a picture I found, I believe it was on Pinterest, but it was a peacock. And obviously the peacock feathers, like the typical peacock feathers, are like the bright blue and green and maybe a little bit of yellow and white. But this peacock was like in a zoo in like China or something. So there were like cherry blossoms, really vibrant pink color overhead. And then there was the peacock colors. So I took that color scheme as my inspiration. And then as you see, I am tilting my mold slightly to the side, and I'm holding it up with a stamp. That's a rubber stamp. I just got it from Hobby Lobby. That I'm going to stamp these soaps with later, but it acts as a little prop to hold up my my mold as I put the colors in. And I'm doing it on the side because I want to do kind of a defined layers, but also I'm going to swirl it a little bit. I want you to see the definite gradient of colors so it matches my inspiration picture as far as the color scheme and the placement of colors. And it's also just easier to pour into the mold if it's slightly on the side like that. And you see as the soap got full into the mold, I had to take that stamp off so I could pour without it falling out of the mold. And I just wanted a tiny little bit of white to get swirled in with my swirl. The word is completely lost to me now. What is this tool? What is this tool? It's a hanger tool. I forgot. I got it on Amazon. But before I got this on Amazon, I actually rigged up my own. So really, you guys, you don't need fancy. And this little dowel, it's a chopstick. It's a brand new chopstick, but I reuse it. I clean it. I use it just for soap. It doesn't need to be fancy in order to work. I thought when I first started making soap, I needed all these fancy gadgets, but really you don't. You can make it work very simply. And oh, I have a little oopsie moment here. My phone fell. So I wasn't able to record the actual frosting, the piping, but I do have some tips that I want to share with you as far as frosting goes. I'm asked a lot about my soap frosting, and when I first started making soap, I did have a different recipe for the soap frosting as the base soap. But really, it doesn't matter what your recipe is. You can use the same recipe. You can even do a castile soap. If you wait long enough, all soap will harden if it's formulated properly. So what you do is you pour your base soap into the mold, make sure that it is set up enough to sustain the weight of the frosting on top, and I just make a bigger batch. Instead of making a batch that will cover this amount, which is 38 ounces, I've done 48 ounces, so I have 10 extra ounces plus the colorants, plus the fragrance oil and the kaolin clay. All those extra goodies are in here, and I have just let this set up. You can see that this is not a liquid, nor is it completely a solid. It is kind of like a pudding consistency at this moment. I am going to wait about 5 more minutes. So what you're looking for is if you move the frosting around and it doesn't settle back down, it doesn't slide, it doesn't goop, there's no liquid, it's holding its shape. This is almost there, not quite. You want it to the consistency that you would pipe frosting for a cake, and if it's that consistency, you are ready to go. This would not quite hold its shape, so you want it to be able to hold its shape as you make a lot of the different designs. A lot of the piping tips are nice and frilly, and you want to be able to see all of those details. So waiting till the proper consistency is really key with making soap frosting. So here is the end product as far as the wet soap after it's been piped. I did add some sugar pearls. Those are from Wilton. I just got them at Walmart. They're not super fancy. I also used some biodegradable silver glitter. That is from the Good Glitter, and some star bits. That's also a bio glitter. That's from Mad Micas. And here it is, ready to cut. It did go through gel phase. It didn't get super toasty. I am asked that as far as the sugar pearls are concerned because a lot of makers have had a hard time with sugar pearls. If you do not oven process and you do not have a super hot gel phase and you use sugar pearls that are the same color as the frosting that you've piped on top, you will not have a hard time with bleeding or those sugar pearls biodegrading. They are biodegradable, which makes them perfect for use in the shower because they're not going to clog your drains. Here I'm just cleaning up my soap cutter. This soap cutter I got from Nurture Soap. They're no longer available from Nurture Soap. However, I do recommend Bud Hafner. He's on Etsy. He makes his multi-bar cutters. They're high quality. I know a lot of makers love his cutters, and I highly recommend his cutters as a substitute to the ones from Nurture Soap. So here I've just stamped this. This is directly after cutting. With movie magic, you never really know when things are happening, but I'm telling you right now, I'm doing all of this process directly after cutting simply because I have so many hard oils in my soap recipe, and I'm able to because the soap is really solid. It's not where I'm going to need to let it sit for a few days in order to stamp. If I waited a few days, it would actually be too hard to stamp, and I would really struggle, especially with that rubber stamp. This slide stamp is plastic, so it's a lot more solid, and that I could potentially use a few days after, but that rubber stamp I would never be able to do a few days after, letting it cure for a few days. And ta-da! There it is. I have beveled it with my little $2 Walmart tool. Again, going back to the fact it does not have to be expensive. Your tools can be very basic and you can make them work at whatever place you are at. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. As always, my name's Martha, and I am the owner-operator of Blue Haven Soapery. Go check out my goodies at bluehavensoapery.etsy.com.